to really make something clear, and this is really a message to everybody. When you're talking about scholars, whether it's we'll have, and just to really like be clear about it, not beat around the bush, you'll have the Sufis, Ash'ari type of inclined crowd. They will speak about Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, Shaykh al-Islam, as if he's some ignoramus that didn't know what he was talking about. He was some idiot that was just يهرف بما لا يعرف, just saying things that he's not aware of what he was saying. And look at how ridiculous his statements were and blah blah blah. وَلَا تَبْخَسُ النَّاسَ أَشْيَاءَهُم. Do not deprive people of what is theirs. Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah was a genius by all accounts. And he was dealing with some deep, deep philosophical problems that most people are not able to handle and get a grasp on. On the other hand, you'll have the Salafis talk about Imam Mohamed al-Ghazali as if he was some ignoramus that didn't know the Quran and the Hadith. It's an imbalanced way to represent scholars that you disagree with in that way. The fair way to do it is to really give them their due respect, and that begins with quoting the whole thing. To just take things out of context and give me half statements and then present, the way this teacher presented Imam Muhammad al-Ghazali, and then afterwards he says, the one that refuted him and responded to him was the greatest, in his opinion, the greatest scholar in Islam, Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. It sets the mind of the student up in a way almost to make them prejudice. And it sets them up the way look at the way that these scholars are being presented. You'll have the guys on the Sufi Ash'ari side present the statements of their scholars backed up with verses from the Quran and Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. And then they'll tell you what Imam Ibn Taymiyyah said without telling them what he was relying upon, what his proof for it was. On the other hand, you'll have the Salafi crowd present what Imam Ibn Taymiyyah, or like right now, Imam Muhammad al-Ghazali was saying, devoid of any Quran and any Hadith. He just tells you what he said, and in both sides, by the way, both cases, they don't present what the whole system, what was the whole statement. What did that scholar actually say? They'll choose that portion that supports what they were saying, what they want to say about that scholar. And then they will present what Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah said and back that up with Quran and Hadith. What that does in the mind of the student is automatically setting him up to have a negative opinion of the other scholar and show that your scholar is the one that's actually relying upon Quran and Hadith. It's not fair, it's dishonest by all accounts, and shame on anybody that tries to do that. If you want to present a particular case, you need to present everything. When, just a bit ago when I talked about music, you don't just present one opinion and just walk away. And then just use one interpretation of the Quran and the Hadith. The fair way to do it is to actually present everything. Tell me what because they're all relying on, these scholars are not sitting there coming up with things from their own minds. Everybody agrees in usul and the foundational principles of fiqh and jurisprudence and aqidah and everything, that the first thing that you go to is the Quran, then followed by the Hadith. So all of these scholars, and they do not become scholars. Imam Muhammad al-Ghazali, when he talks about sitting down and looks at his majlis, his students that were sitting while he was teaching, and he counts 700 min al-mu'ammamin. 700 of his students had the turbans, and the turbans back then were signifying scholarship. He had 700 scholars. To be a scholar, you need to be someone that knows your Quran and Hadith at the very least fully, completely. And he's teaching those people. He did not gain the name of Hujjatul Islam for nothing. And neither did Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. He did not gain the name Shaykh al-Islam for nothing. It's ridiculous and we need to stop it as a Muslim community. So back to